Hi, everybody. Welcome back again this afternoon to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. The mainline show is here. The trio is back together, and we're ready to talk and have a good therapy session for some of you, and maybe, give you some news that'll excite you the rest of the way. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams, with a simple message to some Ranger fans, Semadana, but I'm also joined with the host of the Final Buzzer, Mr. John Polkowski.
Oh, there's one. There's one.
Oh, you know what? It's because I got the camera set up, and it's set up for you in the top right.
Oh, man, that's great. Yeah. Will the real Rangers please stand up after that effort? Monday night, just unacceptable. And if any of the Rangers were watching Jalen Brunson and the Knicks last night, all I've got to say is I understand basketball is different, but take notes from the heart that Jalen Brunson played with last night. That man was on a mission and said, we are not losing this game. We need that from somebody, whether it's Trocheck, whether it's Panarin, whether it's Zibanejad, whether it's Kreider, Fox. Somebody's got to step up and have that type of game.
All right. And, of course, the man who is booking all the guests and taking names, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah, so last night was some interesting hockey. The Rangers didn't play, but, the Oilers winning a game after it looked like it was blown, destined for overtime. So that was certainly about a good minute and a half of, interesting turn of events. But playoff hockey is the best. That's just really, to simply put, it's high stress. It's fast. Anything can happen. It's great.
Yeah, and you know what? It's great whenever it's like that, and it's a high stress. And there are those games that are just they really just take your breath away as you're watching them. And one of them that's going to be doing that is what we're going to be covering in the A block tomorrow, we're going to cover it right now, but it's A block for tomorrow. As usual, the A block is brought to you by Seat Geek. Use the promo code BigAppleHockey for $20 off your first order. Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. I am actually going out for taking my fiance out to dinner because we're 6 months away from our wedding. So that's nice. And as Phil is showing off the hat.
Yeah. Not hiding the fact that I'm bald and definitely showing off the hat.
But the real news out of it is that the New York Rangers lost to the Carolina Hurricanes, or the Carolina Hurricanes defeated the New York Rangers. Either way you want to look at it, 4-1. And the Rangers still lead the series 3-0. Phil, I have a bunch of stats that I'm going to be throwing up there for you.
Did you just say the Rangers still lead the series 3-0? You definitely did. You mean they still lead 3-2?
They led the series 3-0.
Oh, I thought you said they still lead the series 3 games.
I might have said still lead at 3-2. We're conditioned to my mistakes. Sometimes I don't make one, or sometimes I did. I don't know. The Caniacs, let me know in the comments.
I thought I heard it, Mark.
Phil, the last 2 games, Igor Shesterkin, 3.58 goals against average, 879 save percentage. You look at those numbers in the first 3 games, they were much different. And of course, there's a plus minus from the last 2 games.
There's your reason why.
Yep. He did. All right. Well,
all right. I knew.
Give me a break. I still talk a lot. All right. Anyway, Phil, go flash some of the other numbers. And of course, let me flash this one.
Wow.
4 teams have come back from 3-0. Like the 42 Maple Leafs, the 77 Islanders, 2010 Flyers, coached by Peter Laviolette, and the 2014 LA Kings, where Jonathan Quick was the goalie, sorry,
I had to highlight that because it's true.
No, it's all right. Keep highlighting them. Phil, is the tide turning, or will the Rangers close out the Canes tomorrow?
I don't see how this team loses 4 in a row. And Matt's right. It was the 75 Islanders. It was JP Parise. It's not the 77.
I was just gonna say.
So that's 3 on Mark.
All right, hold on. Let's get the gift, guys.
That's 3 on Mark. Yeah.
Well, the 77 Islanders, that's my mistake. I made sure the 42 Toronto Maple Leafs were right.
Well, I can't see how this team loses 4 in a row. Even if they lose tomorrow night, they have to win in 7. And if they don't, I'll tell you this, heads are going to roll. And you can talk about clauses. You can talk about cap hits. And tell you right now, Dolan is going to lose his mind if this team loses this series. Telling you right now, it's coming. You thought everything was crazy after what happened when we were on the air and Gorton and Davidson got fired that day.
That was our first ever live stream.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, this will be even more crazy. There will be heads rolling. One of Trouba, Kreider, one of those guys is going if that happens. There will be consequences. Maybe even Chris Drury himself. And I'm telling you, something's going to happen. So they better understand that this is their year. They have to get this done. The effort that they showed in Game 5 was unacceptable. Game 4, you know what? All right. They had a terrible first period in Game 4. They were down by 2 goals. They came back and they tied that game. They were the better team for 2 periods, and then a BS call really screwed them because Carolina finally came through and got their first power play goal. Remember, the Rangers still have more shorthanded goals than Carolina has power play goals in this series. So, tell you right now, if they don't win, there is going to be massive changes, and I don't want to hear anything about clauses, anything like that. I'm telling you, Dolan's going to rip someone in that locker room, or he's going to do something completely irrational, and someone's going to get tossed from this team. They have to come back and win this. They have to win, whether it's tomorrow night or whether it's back at the Garden in Game 7. They absolutely have to win this series. And Igor Shesterkin's numbers in those last 2 games are terrible because Jacob Trouba and Erik Gustafsson have been absolutely awful. Trouba was on the ice for, 8 straight goals against? This guy needs to be benched. I'm sorry, and I don't want to hear anything about his Marc Messier Leadership Award. That almost sounds like they're giving him that to deflect away from the fact that he's been terrible for God knows how long. So I'm with Richie on this one, though. I do think they need, and I said it on Twitter as well, they needed a reset mentally and physically. Adam Fox is definitely playing hurt. Ryan Lindgren's game has suffered because of that. Keandre Miller and Braden Schneider had a bad game last game, but that was the worst game I think I've seen them play as a pairing ever. So, I mean, if that's their worst, they've got to be better, but Trouba's got to be benched. Gustafsson's got to be benched. And if you're not going to bench Trouba, at least bench Gustafsson, put Zach Jones in. And then I know this is going to be a hot take, but this Ranger power play has gone kind of cold because they don't have the movement at the points that they had previously. Adam Fox is almost stationary there. He can't be playing on power play 1 anymore. So put in Zach Jones and put him on power play 1. He's shown that he can move the puck. He's good at walking the line. Get him on there. He's got a better shot than Adam Fox, too. And I know I'm going to hear, oh, how can you advocate Zach Jones being in on the power play over Adam Fox? Adam Fox is a Norris winner, this and that. Have you seen Adam Fox on this power play and the lack of movement? I mean, people want to talk about, and again, I get it. He's injured. He's hurt. But reduce his minutes. Keep him fresh because at least he can give you defense still. But he can't walk the line like he normally does and move the puck. Get someone on there that can, and not Erik Gustafsson, because Gustafsson has been a joke. He's been an absolute joke. So get him out of there. They're not going to bench Trouba. I would love to see Edstrom. Hope that Heedle's back tomorrow night. And then just win Game 6, please, for the love of God.
Well, Anthony, I know we've talked a lot about this the last 2 days, but give a quick thought on it.
Well, I mean, first, I haven't looked at the odds, but clearly the Rangers are still the favorites to win. They're up 3-2. That's not going to change. They just need to win 1. Carolina needs to win 2. That's all factual. But the point I was making yesterday to Marc, when Marc's sitting there talking about, only 4 teams have done it in history. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter how many times it happened. The Hurricanes have put themselves in a position where they just need to win one game at home in their own building, and then both teams are facing the same possible fate in a game 7. The Hurricanes have already done the majority of the heavy lifting. They were down 3-0. They were left for dead. At that point, it looked like they had no chance. They won 2 games in a row to put themselves back in the series. Now they're going home, and they have a great opportunity to send this to a game 7. Is it going to happen? I mean, I don't know, but if you're a Hurricanes fan, you have to feel pretty good about your chances of winning a game 6 tomorrow. And I think the belief in that room is that they're back in it. They have the momentum, and they're going to try to ride that wave right into a game 7 scenario. And even though the Rangers, a couple facts here, the Rangers would be at home for a game 7, correct? The Rangers are typically really good in game 7s. That's also correct. But in a game 7 situation, after coming back down from 3-0 to tie the series, in my opinion, the Rangers would only have a slight edge in the game 7 based on everything that the Hurricanes had just accomplished. So, if I'm the Rangers, even though you would be at home for a game 7, I would not want any part of going back to MSG for that game, just because of the stressful situation it would be in. So I think for the Rangers, it's important to come out tomorrow in game 6 and basically, dishearten the Hurricanes and give them no hope of winning that game and eventually the series. You want to score the first goal. You want to score the first 2 goals. I mean, hell, you even want to score the first 3 goals tomorrow at PNC, because if the Hurricanes score early, let's say they score early in the first period, crowd's going to get even more jacked up. They're going to get the ball rolling even more aggressively on Brindamore's just kind of like choke you out, aggressive type of forecheck. And then things can snowball from there. So I think for the Rangers, yes, they're still in control of their own destiny. They still have a better chance of winning the series. But if they, for 1 second think that it's still in the bag, or, think that, yeah, you know what, we lost 2 games in a row, we still have this, they're going to be sorely mistaken, because the Hurricanes are going to come out really hard. So I still think the Rangers win the series, and they get it done tomorrow. But I'll say the obvious. If the Hurricanes find a way to win game 6 tomorrow, I'm not going to be so confident anymore. So we'll have to see what happens. But the one thing I thought was funny that Philk alluded to, because he wasn't even on the stream at Pagnotta, but he brought it up. Philk, I asked Pagnotta if the Hurricanes complete this and end up winning, what changes would be made. And he mentioned Dolan and how Dolan is nuts. He won't stand for it, and, heads will roll. So I thought that was funny that, you said that without even seeing, our stream.
I've been saying it for months. So, I went back to I think I went back to January probably saying this, and even when they hired Laviolette, I said, if they don't win the cup, or if they have another disappointing performance, the minute they hired Laviolette, I said that Laviolette was the no excuses, no fallback type coach. They have nowhere to go, no one to blame but themselves. And that's when everything would happen. I said it from day one. So I'll answer. I actually want to answer this question when you're done, Anthony. I'll let you have your.
Yeah. So basically, to close it out, to reiterate, I still think the Rangers are in control of their own destiny here, but they're playing a dangerous game because, like you said, if you lose game 6 to the Hurricanes, even though you're going to be at home for game 7, that's not a situation you want to be in. Mark, I said it to you when we did our stream the other day. If it goes to game 7, the amount of stress and tension that are going to be in that building from the fans at MSG is going to be palpable. The longer that game would stay tied, 0-0, 1-1, every shot on net that the Hurricanes put on net, you're going to feel the stress of Ranger fans, and it's going to be a situation you don't want to put yourselves in. So I think the Rangers, it would strongly behoove them to close this out in 6 games at PNC Arena tomorrow night. Because if it doesn't, it's literally a toss-up. both teams have their backs against the wall. So I'll say this. As much as I would love to still see my team playing playoff hockey, tomorrow night would stress me out a ton. And for that part, I'm grateful. But we'll see what happens.
Phil, you had a point you wanted to make before I started yabbering?
Well, it was just really a question that Dave asked. So he's asking me to reiterate how the Rangers can beat that system and that forecheck. Basically, what it comes down to is quick and clean breakouts out of your zone. Your first pass has to be just on point and flawless. You also have to have good puck support on your breakouts. You have to break out as a unit. You can't break out with one guy. Like we've seen Jack Roslovic carry the puck out of the zone and with his incredible speed and his beautiful skating and stuff. And yeah, that can do it at times. But the way to beat them, and you can do it, and they did it 2 years ago, is to catch them with their pants down in transition. And the way to do that is quick, effective passes out of the zone. The first pass has to be the best pass that this team makes. Yes, J.E., crisp exits. Puck support. So when that puck goes up the wall, Carolina, their MO, their modus operandi is for them to come in and pinch right away and be super aggressive. The defense, whether it's Shea, Slavin, whoever it is, they're up on the wall right away, taking away that option for them. And they're trying to poke that puck down low again, and basically back it right down low behind the net and set it behind the defense. What you have to do there is that a forward and someone breaking out of the zone has to be moving in motion so that when that defenseman comes in and tries to make that play and that pinch on that winger on the board, that forward has to be able to come and get a quick pass coming up the middle right there. And that's how you beat them. And you have two forwards doing that. You have three forwards breaking out of that zone. What does that leave? That means an odd man rush or 3-on-2. And if you can get those odd man rushers, those 3-on-2s, the Rangers have shown one thing in this series that has remained a constant, is that when they get the high danger chances, more times than not, they convert on them. And if they can get those high danger chances on those 3-on-2s, catching them in transition, that's going to be the key for them beating this Carolina team.
I talked about this earlier, and I've said this numerous times about how it's a rarity to come back from 3-0. You're running on adrenaline. Adrenaline usually runs out. Now the Rangers had an extra day off. We've seen in the 24/7 series that Peter Laviolette knows when to hit the gas and also lay off the gas. Also, we also know that he can make adjustments. He's the winningest American coach of all time for a reason. The other thing I kind of said also, because two other cases of this, the 2012, I believe it was, Blackhawks versus the Vancouver Canucks, down 3-0. They win the next three. They force Game 7. Vancouver still wins. Vancouver, who won the President's Trophy that year as well, I might add. Now you have Laviolette was in that situation as well with the Philadelphia Flyers, up 3-0. The Penguins blitzed them 10-3 in Game 4, won Game 5, and then he goes, all right, pulls it back a little bit. They win 5-1 in Game 6. Now, granted, that game was on home ice for the Flyers in that game. Look, the Rangers this is the bottom line out of this, and this is the only way to look at it if you're a New York Ranger or even a Ranger fan. Yes, Ranger Central, Evan, you guys were all right. Always the cardiac Rangers. They always got to make you stress. You have two chances to win one game. Anthony is also correct. Look, who wants any part of Game 7 besides maybe my two partners who predicted Rangers in 7?
I don't know.
I certainly
I
wouldn't.
want this out in 6.
Yeah, I wanted it done in 3. Unfortunately, they didn't want it to happen. But
3? 4, you mean?
No, I meant 3. I meant that they didn't even want to play Game 4. I'm joking about that, of course. But look, this is a damn good team. The Carolina Hurricanes, they're the third best team in the league for a reason. But here's the other thing that I brought up earlier. Every time throughout the season, when it seemed like the Rangers were falling back and Carolina was surging, the Rangers found another gear and stayed ahead of them. Can they do this one last time? Because I was convinced they were going to win that game on Saturday.
Yeah.
And, kudos to Carolina. They could have just rolled over. They didn't in game 5. This came out and stormed the Rangers. 4-1 win. Let's go home, get another win, come back to the Garden. And Phil, we've seen it. 1994. You want a 94 comparison? Here you go. By the way, Ranger fans, stop with the 94 comparisons, but I got one more for you. They were up 3-1 in that series. Vancouver Canucks took game 5, and that was even after the game was tied as well. And then a convincing win, 4-1 in game 6, and they go back to the Garden. So this is all right there for the Rangers. They got the right guy that's leading them. They have a veteran presence on the bench who's got 2 Stanley Cup rings to show the guys. And who knows what the game is going to be. I think first goal is going to matter, but we'll see which team comes out ahead. And Wednesday, guys, when we do our next mainstream, we'll see who won this series, because this is a nail biter. And it doesn't matter to me what the order of the wins are, because every game could have gone either way. That's my response about that one. All right, Anthony, last thoughts on this?
My thoughts are the Rangers didn't want to be in this situation, but yet here they are. I do think there's something to be said for that they're facing adversity now. I think that's good for them. Because let's face it, in the Washington series there was none, and they were up 3-0 in this series, so it's good that they're actually facing a little bit of pushback here. But like I said, they're still in the driver's seat, and they still very well win the series. But you have to have some pause though right now, because the Hurricanes are also feeling good about themselves. Again, the Hurricanes right now, their mindset is win one game, and they're gonna face the same possible fate as us, which is you lose one game and your season's over. So. The Rangers better come out of the gate tomorrow and hit them hard, score early, and like I said, make them feel that they're out of it, that they have no more hope, that it's come to the end of the line for them. Because if they get momentum and ultimately win the game, it's going to be a high stressful environment in Game 7 for every party involved. So, like I said. Hopefully they just come out and they put them to bed early.
But Anthony, I kind of said it before. Maybe the Rangers need that kick in the ass, because that's happened with them before, and they've won.
It's a dangerous game to play, but yeah,
they won their last 2 Game 7s with this crew. We'll see if that happens. But number one thing is Gerard Gallant ain't walking through that door saying everything's fine. That's
that's why I have a little more faith, is because I think Laviolette knows when to push the right buttons to push, and how to get through to these guys. It's not Gallant. They're not coming and asking for help or anything like that. My only concern is that Fox is clearly maybe 50% at best. That's the Nick Jensen knee on knee really has messed with him. Trouba is an abomination. Yeah, he's dragged down every partner he's played with this year. It's terrible, to tell you the truth. He should not be in a lineup, but they're going to put him in because they're not going to bench the captain. Gustafson's been awful. It's just, and you know what? I'm calling him right now. Panarin, wake up, show up and play, and stop shying away from contact at every chance you get. Because he started playing like 2 years ago, Panarin. Ooh, the dumb drop pass into the slot because I don't want to take a hit. Man up. Play.
All right.
Speaking of, you brought up Panarin, Phil, I mentioned it yesterday. I'm sure you noticed it on Kuznetsov goal last game. Panarin just let Kuznetsov gain position.
Let him go. Let him go.
Yeah. Yep. And that's inexcusable. Kuznetsov's not a hard-nosed player.
No,
it's not like he was. It's not like Pat.
All right. Well,
frozen.
Anthony froze for a second.
Yeah.
But all right. So we're gonna take that opportunity to go and do the DraftKings read, and we're gonna get to Bar Talk, guys. Oh wait, Anthony, you're back.
Yeah, look, cut out there.
All right. So wait, let me go rapid fire real quick. Who wins tomorrow night? Anthony first.
Oh, me.
All right, I picked the Rangers in 6. I got to stick with it.
I'm gonna go. I had said Rangers in 7. My prediction at the beginning of the series. So I'm gonna stick with that. I'll say Rangers still win in 7 games, but unfortunately, to raise the blood pressure of a lot of Ranger fans, I'll say the Hurricanes win Game 6, but the Rangers ultimately win it.
Phil, what do you think?
I mean, I picked the Rangers in 7 as well, but I gotta say that they have to win this tomorrow. I don't know if I see them winning that series if they don't win tomorrow.
I wouldn't. I'm not exactly running on confidence. No, nor should anybody be. But look, that's what you're gonna have to do. And Matt, I understand what your comment is right here. Of the post game comments were embarrassing. Trouba saying that we don't plan on winning every game. You know what? He's trying to take it in stride a little bit, and you don't want to be too down on yourself. But let's see what that is, because after all, guys, we're going to go to Bar Talk, and there's another team that had a chance to close the series out. They didn't do it last night. First, a message from DraftKings. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. You so confident you're buying around? So have a beer, or, oh, dear God, I need a shot. Play along down in the comments below. And we're going to skip right into the other playoff series because I knew we were going to cover the Rangers very thoroughly. But, yeah. So anyway, let's talk about a guy who's public enemy number 1 in Boston right now. Sam Bennett punching Brad Marchand in the face, and then he shoves Charlie Coyle into goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky and scores the game-tying goal. Bruins would go on to lose. Florida leads the series 3-2. Mr. Filkowski, the Bruins should have a 3-2 lead over Florida.
Yeah, and Sam Bennett should be suspended for the rest of the playoffs. Sorry, but it's a cheap shot. The way I get it, and it's Marchand, and people are going to say, oh, can't feel bad for Marchand. Can't feel bad for Marchand. You know what? Even if Marchand was going over there to do something stupid, which he definitely was, he wanted to play FAFO, if you know what that means. But it's still a cheap shot. Still an absolute cheap shot and a disgraceful play on Sam Bennett's part. And it's something he's done before. He did it to Matthew Knies last year. And how Sam Bennett has gotten away with it multiple times, I don't know. You obviously, at the league, you have the ability to go back and take a look at these plays and be like, hey, you know what? This warrants a suspension. How does a blatant sucker punch like that not have a suspension for Sam Bennett? It's a disgusting play. He doesn't deserve to be playing the playoffs right now, and Florida should be down in this series. It's disgusting. Again, you all the jokes you made about Paros and not being able to pronounce the word safety right, they all come back into play because Paros has done another terrible job of reprimanding players who get away with scummy plays like that. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible, and the Bruins should be up. The other thing is that the Bruins should have never blown a lead in that game. They had a 2-goal lead in the third period, and they blew it. And you know what? Again, also another thing in that same game, cross-check from who else? Sam Bennett sending a Boston player into a goalie, and the goal doesn't get waved off. The NHL, it's like, what are they doing? Are they favoring Florida? Are they favoring Florida like completely? Because honestly, if you look at it from an outsider perspective, that's what it looks like.
Anthony, what do you think? Bruins should be up 3-2?
Pagnotta had the best thing when he's on earlier. We're talking about goaltender interference. He's like,
yeah, exactly.
It's just
what is it? What is it?
Yeah, it's so very convoluting. And as for Sam Bennett, I can't believe that the league didn't have a video footage of the reverse angle till the next day. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me how they could have missed that. So the Bruins should be, because even if one of those goals got called back, you never know what would have happened later on. So it's tough to say, but I will say Bennett should have been suspended. And I think goaltender interference needs to be totally revamped in the offseason, because there's no rhyme or reason to what is and what isn't. That's all I'll say.
Pathetic.
It's a disaster.
But the Bruins should have a 3-2 lead, you're saying, right?
I mean beer on that, because I'll go beer.
I'm actually going to go beer on this one too, because it's not like Florida is ripping it up right now. I mean, Sergei Bobrovsky, .896 save percentage in the series, not really that great. You saw the play that it looked like he was holding the puck, and the refs blew the whistle, and it could have been a goal on that. Look, the other thing that I'll go back to with this is I actually don't care when they got the video. I don't care if they started game 5. You have to suspend him.
Yeah,
because you get a rabbit punch in like that. The guy falls down, hits the boards, and it fell very awkwardly. He was out of that game. Look, they didn't drop the puck on game 5. You couldn't. I know when we talked to Pagnotta on that. I'm still like boggled that the league's like, yeah, well, we already said we weren't going to suspend them, so now we can. No, it's something called brand new evidence. Like, I would hate to have George Paros as a judge and a jury. Well, we realized he killed the guy, but we kind of already started the trial, so we're just gonna let him go. Or they got us pizza. I don't even know what the frick metaphor I'm trying to go up with. That's ridiculous. But there was a goaltending change last night where Calvin Pickard made 19 saves and in the first playoff start. Stuart Skinner, .973 save percentage.
793, Mark, not 973. You said
793.
I heard that one.
All right.
That's the Mark messed up counters. That 5.
That's 4.
5.
5.
Swayman, not Bobrovsky.
Yeah, you said before Bennett shoved Coyle into Bobrovsky.
It was Swayman.
I had 2 streams today. That's my excuse. All right. Pickard can lift Edmonton past Vancouver.
Not Pickard. It is not Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise or whatever the hell it is on Star Trek.
It is actually the Enterprise, and it is Calvin Pickard. Calvin Pickard. There you go. Anthony, can he actually do it?
No, I'm gonna say no. I mean, I know the Oilers won last night, but they scored a big goal, 39 seconds left. Vancouver has their third string goalie in too, so I can't say that the goaltending is even or Vancouver has the edge in that regard. But I just think the Canucks are still going to win this series. So I'm actually going to go shot. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I think the Canucks ultimately win.
Bilk, what do you think? Can Pickard actually do it for him?
I'm sorry, I was still laughing at that comment from Jimmy.
Well, I like that he always went to Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh man!
Oh, 5.
The Core D'Angelo comments are carrying over from the other stream. You know what? I'm gonna say beer it's not like Anton Silovs has just been amazing. Or Arturs, sorry, that's my first mistake there. Arturs Silovs, and I actually corrected myself. I called him Anton. I don't know why, but Arturs Silovs has not been that great in this series. He really hasn't. I mean, and I know some people are questioning him for Edmonton's go-ahead goal. I think he was kind of screened on that one, but really, I don't know if it's Pickard that's going to lift them as much as it is this right here. McDavid really hasn't been great in this series. So, no, Kashi, no, we're not going to say Shilovs is Cam Ward 2.0. No, we're definitely not going to say that because we haven't seen anything from Shilovs that's even shown that to be possible at this point. But I'm going to say Beer because it's really not going to be him that's going to do it. It's going to be McDavid really getting on his horse and really taking over this series because Vancouver's big guys really haven't done it yet. Like Pettersson's still kind of a ghost in this series. Quinn Hughes, he was definitely rattled from some of those plays. They're going after him every chance they get. And that's why I said, I don't know if I trust Vancouver's defense in the playoffs because Quinn Hughes and guys like that, they're going to have to take a pounding, and I don't know if they can. But here we are. I'm going to say Beer, though.
Well, Quinn Hughes took a high stick to the face from Connor McDavid, no call, and was even told to get off the ice, too, because he was bleeding. They couldn't figure out how. I don't know. I wonder if it's because do they have Lindholm on McDavid? But you know what? It almost doesn't matter because Vancouver trailed big in that first game and ended up winning it. They got to make sure that it's right in net, and he's got to make saves because Stuart Skinner didn't make that save on Lindholm in the previous game, and that's what probably doomed him. 793 save percentage. It's like you're trying to dodge the puck. But and every time, by the way, every time I ever hear Seelovs, I think you're saying Shelob, as in like the giant spider from.
Well, it is Shelovs. The pronunciation is like an SHILOVS, but
well, it's a different pop at the very end of it, but still, it's one of those things. I think I don't think I'm gonna just say shot as we get a good view of Anthony's crotch right there. I think if they win this series is not because of Pickard. Is his name is, although he would be Picard if he was French, but no, I don't think it would be from him. Guys, Valeri Nichushkin has the most goals in the playoffs with 9, but unfortunately he will enter the NHL assistance program and will be suspended. Is it a minimum of 6 months or is it's at least 6 months, right?
I think it's a minimum of 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah. Nichushkin's played his final game with the Colorado Avalanche, Mr. Filkowski.
Man, the Jack Johnson comments were kind of damning. He kind of let them down. And you know what? I have people in my family that have dealt with substance abuse addiction, and it's a real tough subject. So I don't want to bag on Nichushkin because he's obviously going through something. But at some point, you've got to be responsible to not only yourself, but in this situation, your teammates and your coaching staff and the organization as well. I don't know. That was not me. That was not me. Oh, I know exactly who it was. Anthony. That was absolutely Anthony. But I think I really can't say for sure that this is, but I have a feeling that it might be. I'm gonna say Beer just because I'm not 110% sure, but I do have a feeling that it might be his final game with this team because I think they're done. I think they're done with it, and especially in a big situation like this. And against Dallas, and they needed him against Dallas so badly. They needed every ounce of help that they can get They're down 3-1 facing elimination. Tell you right now, the Rangers don't win the Stanley Cup. That Dallas team is the team that I think is going to win it all because they are deep and they are an absolute buzzsaw. And their next opponent next round is not going to be nearly as tough as the two opponents they've faced already.
Anthony Nichushkin, is he done with the Avalanche?
I'm actually gonna go shot, only because, you know, I feel like when a player enters the assist program, clearly they're struggling with something. And if a team gets rid of a player that's in a program that is trying to better himself, I think the PA might have the case about the team abandoning a guy that's clearly has issues. I'm not sure what the protocol is there, if it's allowed. So I mean, clearly he has severe issues that he relapsed, or whatever you want to call it. He violated something. I don't know if they could just cut him loose when he's dealing with all that stuff while he's trying to get help. So for that reason, I'll say I'll stick with a beer, but I don't know what the protocol is again.
You know what? I'm going to jump in real quick. He's not a first-time offender, and that's the reason why I think that there is room for them to move on from him, because and listen, I would get it if it was his first time and they just cut him loose. It would be a terrible PR look, and I don't think they even can at that point.
I gotta hop off though. I gotta get Ella.
So all right, take care, Anthony.
All right, take it easy, Anthony.
No problem.
I mean, they already removed the nameplate from the locker, which is crazy to think about. I really just think that we're looking probably. I think it's the end for him, likely. I can't say with 110% certainty just because of the situation, but I will say that it's not a good look for him, and I can't imagine that the leadership and the front office are happy with what's going on with him. So
first, let me start by saying none of us are bagging on him. So anybody thinks we're bagging on him, we're not. There's not really going to be a sarcastic comment out of me when it comes to this. I will say this. He is signed until the end of the 29-30 season. His contract perhaps could be voided. I don't know. I will look into that because this is all new information that's coming.
Yeah.
If I was a player in that locker room, I would wonder how the hell I get back in that locker room with him. Look, nobody wants to abandon him, but on the other hand, you're just one minute away from him abandoning the team, because it happened last year too. And it's something they're gonna have to try to figure out, see whether or not he could actually do this. But first things first, you got to get your life in order. You got to.
Okay, so Jay is saying Friedman reported the morning that the contract can't be terminated, which doesn't surprise me. I just wonder if he's bought out. I mean, and
that could be another possibility too.
That I can't imagine that buyout being friendly for that team. But I'll tell you this.
His teammates will rally around him, but that seed of doubt's there now.
A $6.125 million cap hit with a no movement clause that expires after a full no move that expires after this season. And then he's got a 12-team no trade list for the remaining 5 years on the deal after that. He doesn't have signing bonuses in the following 2 years after this year. And there's a $1 million signing bonus in 26-27, and then $2 million signing bonuses in 28-29 and 29-30. So the real issue is that what is this? Actually,
but
the next 2 years wouldn't be bad, but the 4 years after that would be brutal for a player that is no longer playing on your team and hasn't been on your team for multiple years. 3.019, $3 million $19,444 for those 2 years, and then $5,019,444 for the following 2 years after that, and then for another 6 years after that, it would be $1,694,444. So,
And
that's not a
Phil, we know
not a friendly buyout.
Phil, we know how I torture myself for ever since I was growing up during baseball season, going to Queens and watching the Mets. And they basically stood by Dwight Gooden as long as they could. Is this the moment where finally Fred Wilpon said the important thing is that he gets his life in order and figures that out? And he's probably never coming back to this team. I'm actually thinking that's going to be the case. I'm going to take a shot on it.
You mean buy a round?
I'm going to say I'm going to buy a round. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't think I double checked it. Oh, whatever. Put it up to 7 mistakes. So it's one of those things. You want the guy to have a healthy life, number one, but I just wonder, how could he step back in that locker room again? I know there's people that have had tougher situations. Ricky Williams went back to the Miami Dolphins. Alexei Yashin went back to the Ottawa Senators. But this now 2 straight postseasons where this has happened. It's happened in the postseason. So hopefully he seeks help and gets there and gets the right help. Because again, it matters what your life is and what you have to do.
Sorry, I was laughing at a comment. I wasn't laughing at this situation. One of the comments that I'm not going to display, I was laughing at, and I just wanted to clarify that so people didn't think that I was laughing at this.
We had the disclaimer. We're not making light of a situation in any way.
No, if anybody saw the stream, I wanted to just make sure that was there.
But Phil, one more bar talk for us. The Winnipeg Jets are meeting with Craig Berube about their vacant coaching position after Rick Bowness retired. Craig Berube is the ideal. Let's change around this one. Instead of it being the ideal coach, Winnipeg is the ideal situation for Craig Berube.
Experienced head coach, Stanley Cup winner for a few years back, steps into a team with a good core that needs some additions, needs to get over the hump. You know what? I'm actually going to say round. I'm going to say round. I mean, I honestly think the Winnipeg Jets opening has to be probably the most attractive opening in this offseason. I mean, I know that New Jersey Devils have a pretty attractive, with Jack Hughes and that young core that they have. But Winnipeg's ready to win. They have the core pieces in place. They have arguably the best goaltender in the league right now, and Connor Hellebuck probably going to be the Vezina winner. I hear you, Evan, here with this comment. That New Jersey and family close, but I'm going to tell you right now, this Winnipeg Jets team is they're built. They're built very well. They need to add on defense. They need to add depth scoring. There's rumors about Nikolai Ehlers. He's been rumored to be dealt for God knows how long now. You wonder if it actually happens. But Winnipeg is a few solid additions away from being a real cup winner. I really would say that they're that close. New Jersey isn't, because New Jersey, no, they need a lot more. They need an actual goaltender. They need a few veteran defensemen, as you're saying, and they need depth. They have scoring, but where are their depth players? What happens with Tyler Toffoli? They're going to have some decisions they're going to have to make. So I don't think they're as close as you think. I really don't. Sorry.
They're definitely not as close as what people think, although that is a great situation to be in. First things first, with New Jersey, can their stars stay healthy? They always seem to lose Hischier and Hughes for some time. And I had Hughes being healthy and being an absolute terror and wreck the league this year. It didn't happen, mostly because he wasn't healthy. The other part is, I look, whoever the next coach
Hamilton, he
is,
gets hurt every year.
yeah. When Hamilton gets hurt again, it's not going to be as bad because Luke Hughes is getting older and getting more experienced every single
But
day.
is Luke Hughes going to make up for a guy who should be a 50-plus point defenseman at this point? And I don't think so. I don't think he's at that point yet.
Yeah. And as Pagnotta said earlier, Toronto they got Berube on the top of their list. I don't know if Berube goes there in there and gets the buy-in from that squad up there. There still has to be major changes in Toronto. So you're already talking about a team that did buy into a coach and that bought in to Rick Bowness. So I'm gonna actually buy around. If I'm Berube, I go to the Jets. I go to the Jets. You could win with them, and if you're telling me you're going from Jordan Binnington, who had one great season, a great postseason, and then declined ever since then. Started to come back a little bit. Let's not forget, the year the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, the Blues beat them twice and looked like they were going to actually challenge them. We said, when me and you did a bracket, that they could beat them in that series. Kadri runs over Binnington. Binnington's out for the series. Billy Husso can't win that series. Could have been a different story. But Berube's got that Stanley Cup for a reason, and it's not because he just showed up and said, "Hey, that's it." He took over the bench boss, and everybody bought into him, and they hit lightning in a bottle with Craig Binnington too. Almost called him Jordan Binnington.
You did call him Craig.
I called him Craig Billington.
Like Craig Billington and crossed him with Jordan Binnington.
Yeah. So, guys, that's the end of the Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk. Let's take some of your questions right now and see what you guys have to say.
Yeah, I'm just going to address that Marner question to New Jersey. If they go and do that, then they become like Toronto, because you have Hughes, you have Hischier, and they're not on like Austin Matthews or William Nylander level contracts, but those big contracts start to add up. You have Hughes, you have Hischier, you have Meyer, you have Hamilton, you have Marner at that point. That's just it. You're going to become very top heavy, and that's part of New Jersey's problem, is that they were top heavy this year. They didn't have the depth, they didn't have the defense, they didn't have the goaltending, and then Hamilton got hurt, and they weren't able to go get another legitimate defenseman because of it. So you go and add Marner, you're not really helping yourself out there.
You're telling me you would hire. By the way, Dominic is saying right here, Sheldon Keefe was granted permission by Toronto to interview for New Jersey's vacant coaching spot. Seems like it would be a fit more for them more than Berube. If you're hiring a guy who came out and basically threw his players under the bus, then good luck. Because I don't care what anyone tells me. If I'm a GM, I'd be like, I'll interview Sheldon Keefe, but then I'll say, well, what about this statement? Because that was ridiculous. It's still ridiculous. Like, I can't even believe that there are teams interviewing him right now when a coach says it's set up for my team to beat themselves. No, even if that's a lip service comment, no. You have to make adjustments on that.
I get stylistically that Keefe may be a better fit than Berube. We saw the way the Berube coach was St. Louis, but he also had a different kind of staff or a roster, I should say, with St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to coach to your strengths. But Berube seems like the good old like Western Canadian type boy that wants to play that type of hockey, as opposed to Keefe, who would rather go out there and have his guys play pond hockey on ice and do all these fancy little crisscross plays, and it's all offense and all that other stuff. Sheldon Keefe doesn't. I don't know. I'm not buying Sheldon Keefe. I like the person. I don't like the rhetoric. I don't like that comment, and I don't like the results with him. To me, if I'm Jersey, I don't know if I want to bring in a guy that coached a better team that couldn't get a better team over the hump. Provided that I think Jersey's core could eventually one day get things done, as opposed to Toronto's core, but this is it kind of here. He gets outcoached a lot. If New Jersey fans were complaining about Lindy Ruff and him being outcoached, how are they going to handle Sheldon Keefe?
I'll tell you what, when everybody keeps going back to this one, there's one reason why this makes sense. The Marner for Saros trade, because they're both pending free agents. And I love what Pagnotta was talking about this earlier, Phil. He's like, Toronto fans, he kind of rolled his eyes going, they say, oh, he's only 5'10". There's a body of work to UC Saros. By all means, just get him in your net. Don't worry about that. Now, granted, Toronto fans, you have a reason to be skeptical. Vesa Toskala, J.S. Jaguar, you name a big name goalie. Chance has already played for the Maple Leafs over the last 20 years. And he got outcoached by Ducharme.
But okay.
What?
I wouldn't put Toskala in that category, but okay.
No. But I mean, Toskala was that great backup. You're like, oh, could he make the jump? I don't know. I don't know. And we're going to get to this one second. But first, also, I hesitate before throwing it on Askarov. I think you have to make sure you get a veteran in there that can at least take some pressure off of him. If you
and that's why I said I think if anything they go and they get a veteran backup, that can make a 1A 1B type tandem where they split the games, because you're not going to ask Askarov to play 60 plus games in his first full year in the league. You're going to burn him out. He's not used to that schedule.
Yeah.
Even in the AHL, he's not getting that type of schedule. But I will say this, it does make a lot of sense for both teams to make that happen, because of the fact that I know, you just saw that Cam Talbot comment, didn't you, bottom? Yeah.
Now I did. I was actually reading Dominic saying that he doesn't think that Sheldon Keefe is a great coach.
No.
But he would love it for New Jersey to have him. He thinks he's David Quinn with better hype.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But I do think that trade makes a lot of sense for both teams. Toronto also loses some cap space. I think Nashville can afford to take on Marner's full hit for the year. I do wonder if Marner would re-sign with them, but he gives them another legitimate top 6 option. But I'm going to go J.E. here. Low scoring game benefits tomorrow. I think it's the Rangers. I think it's just going to end up that way because I think both teams are going to be hesitant to make that first mistake. I don't think you're unless Carolina just comes out woefully unprepared and the Rangers absolutely blitz them, which I don't see that happening. I think we're looking at a low scoring game.
I think it's low scoring. I think it benefits the Rangers. And it's not that the Rangers can't put the puck in the net. I just think the Rangers style, it benefits to be low scoring. Keep it locked down, slow everything down, and get on the power play, because that's what's going to happen, I think, for the Rangers to get going again. Well, let me just go back to that number. And also, by the way, Evan, I'm not going to the watch party tomorrow. I have my own little mini watch party that I'm going to get to. But you look at the power play since game 3, Phil, 0 for 8. That's not good. First off, they're only getting 8 power plays. That's not good either.
No.
Get to the middle, take penalties. Well, not take penalties,
draw penalties.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody, that's one of the things when I don't see a lot of penalties called, it means you didn't drive the slot at all and get to the net. Now, getting to this, when Carolina opened it up, I think that Carolina's one win in the regular season against the Rangers, thank God I was 6-1. Shesterkin did not play well in that game, and he also kind of threw the puck all around. But when it gets to the Rangers locking it down, and more importantly, Igor Shesterkin, because Igor Shesterkin stole that game in March right after the trade deadline, and they're going to have to, I think it's going to be a similar game to that. Carolina could open it up like game 3. How many odd man rushes did the Rangers have? How many did they have in game 4? I wouldn't want to open it up if I'm Carolina. Keep it closed down, keep it locked down, try to play game 5 again. But you know what? Sometimes road teams, they're better prepared than they are when they're home. And of course, as everybody's saying, clear the front of the net. Well, yeah, that's obvious too.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, I mean, the problem is that this team has just, defensive assignments have been missed badly. I mean, you have Panarin with that soft playing Kuznetsov. I mean, yeah, and that team lives on tips and rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
They have really not been able to beat Igor Shesterkin on clean shots anywhere, and Shesterkin's been great. They need to. There really needs to be an attention to detail on defense, and in this whole slow start thing, they've started slow every game since game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Game 1 they started fast, and they played well, but every game since they have started slow, and Carolina has had the advantage early on. They need to win that opening faceoff. They need to get the puck in their zone, and they need to wear out, if that's, I guess, Stahl's line or whoever's line that is, they need to have a shift where they wear out that line in that zone and they get a favorable matchup, because Carolina feasts off matchups. And that's part of why their home record is far better than their road record in the playoffs these last few years.
Assuming Filipino is not healthy for tomorrow night, Matt Rampy, right?
I can't justify putting in Rempe anymore. I'm sorry. I know that the muscles come out on guys like Svechnikov and so on when Rempe's not in the lineup, but I can't.
You can't staple him to the bench in the third period.
Yeah, I can't. Why are you going to do that? You need the part of the reason why I think this team looks gassed is because of the fact that they're putting Rempe in and they're playing him 5 minutes, and then the rest of the team is just absolutely gassed. It reminds me of 2012 when Tortorella played Stu Bickle for an average of 1.5 minutes per game.
Yep.
They were running 5 defensemen. And I
your fifth defenseman was Steve Eminger.
And I always said that if Michael Sauer had been healthy, he would have been in there. And I do think that they would have won if Sauer would have been in there, because they would have been able to actually have 3 full pairings going, and the defenseman wouldn't have been as tired out.
I think if I remember correctly, Michael Sauer, 79 or 89 games in his career. And he was a +11. And he was that good at a young age. Like,
he was really good. He first came up with Ryan McDonough as a pairing, as their second pairing in 2010, 2011. Yeah. That pairing got immediately vaulted into their top 4. That's how good those two were together as a pairing.
And then the Stahl injury created McDonough and Girardi. Yeah. So that was another one. I really hope Laviolette still has his faith in what his pairings were. If they go to Schneider and Gustafsson, is that a move that's supposed to strengthen those two pairings, or would it weaken the bottom pairing?
I think it's going to do a little bit of both. I mean, you're looking at that pairing has been brutal. It's been one of the worst pairings in the playoffs. I don't care what anybody says. I don't want to hear about expected goals. When Trouba is on the ice for 8 straight goals, listen, plus minus or being on the ice for a goal does not necessarily indicate, it's not a clear cut indicator or a be all end all. It says that, oh, this person is bad defensively. But just like with plus minus, when the number is overwhelmingly bad, there's a common denominator to be found there. And that's what I'm seeing with Trouba. Trouba is the common denominator. Every defenseman he has played with this season has suffered with him, whether it's been Miller, Gustafsson, wherever the case may be. Jones seemed like the only one where he came back and was just like, oh, wow, you know what, we're going to, he actually skated well. But the problem is that you have a pairing that is being exposed, and Carolina is getting that matchup. and they're getting that matchup often, and it's a big favor in their favor because you have a team that skates all over the place and creates confusion, and those two together can just not keep up with them. So the only thing that you can really hope for is that Jacob Trouba absolutely trucks somebody, and it makes a momentum change, because Trouba is not good enough to hang with this team. Can things change against Florida, which is a slightly slower team and a more bigger physical team? Maybe. That's what you would have to hope for. But Trouba's not fast enough. He can't skate with these guys. These guys are – it reminds me of 2006 when Buffalo absolutely exposed Zdeno Chara, and they were skating circles around him. They made him look bad, and that's why Ottawa didn't want to re-sign him, because they thought, oh, Wade Redden is a better skater. And then they ended up letting him go a year after that. So
there was a comment, by the way, Phil, there was a comment this afternoon. I don't know who made it, but I don't want to say who it was to throw him under the bus. But it's like, if they lose Game 6, boycott Game 7 and leave the Garden empty. No. The Ranger fans are smarter than that. First off, when let me go back 2 years when it was Game 3. Shesterkin let in a bad goal. The Rangers were up 2-1. And if you remember, all the Ranger fans got up and did the Igor chant right after he let up the goal. That's the way you can kind of get your players up as a home fan. But no, Rob, it was somebody else, I think. But I mean, yeah, Trouba was on the second pairing in Winnipeg. And
then in that 2018-19 season, he got put up to number 1 time when Byfuglien got injured and took Byfuglien's power play time, and that's why he had 50 points that year. The Rangers, they bought high on somebody who really wasn't all that great.
And as Jay Lewis is saying, why is Edstrom called up if he's not even going to play? Jones deserves to play. See, and Gustafson's frustrating for me too, by the way. I just don't know I think it's too late in the series to start pulling him in and out. And I mean, after all, we'd be talking about Gustafson a little bit differently. Didn't he hit the post in Game 4 of the crossbar?
Yeah. But it's not. One goal is not going to change the narrative on Gustafson. I'm sorry. It's not going to. It's not going to. He's been terrible defensively. I mean, in game, what was it? Game 2, I think it was. He left Gensel wide open in the slot for a goal. Wide open. Wasn't even paying attention. I mean, this is the type of stuff he's done all series.
And that's Gustafson to a T.
That's
Steven
why
right
he bounces from team to team.
Yeah, and that's why he can't find a home. And you know who else does that? And I cautioned Anthony about this guy because we were doing the Islanders wrap-up yesterday. Mike Riley. Mike Riley is the American Eric Gustafson. So, Steven's saying right here, if we win, sigh relief, shrug my shoulders, Florida will kill us. Don't know about that one. Because after all, Florida is a different team. First things first, Florida's got to get past Boston, and the Rangers got to get past Carolina. Talking about two quality teams they're playing against. Sergei Bobrovsky has not looked good at these playoffs. Other than a couple saves for the highlight reel, no, he's not looked good.
I'm not scared of Bobrovsky right now. I mean, was Bobrovsky great against Tampa in the first round? Yeah, but Tampa just didn't have the depth to compete with Florida. And that's the thing. Tampa's top heavy. Their guys know how to get it done, but it's just top heavy. That's it.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna go. You got like 5 or 10 more minutes, Phil. Which one do you think?
I got about 5 minutes at most. Sorry.
All right, we'll do 5 minutes, guys. We're gonna go 5 more minutes, and start getting that started. Yeah, I think Swayman would bother me more, but also is what Tommy's saying right here. Bob we could beat, but Swayman would bother me more. Swayman, this is a lot of games he's playing, and they're starting to stack up on him. And you saw what the amount of games were, because he didn't look good in game 2. But he's also a technically better goalie than Bobrovsky is. Bobrovsky is a little bit more free. I'd be a little bit timid with the Bruins, but that only goes a certain amount.
Scare me. They don't scare me. You shut down Pasternak and Marchand. Who's beating you?
Exactly.
You are literally, all you have to do is just pay attention to those two, and then you can dare Jake DeBrusk, who's not a world beater, Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle, and who else to beat you? Who else is beating you? Brazo? If Brazo is the guy that beats you, that means he goes John Truce on you. And if you let a guy like that go John Truce on you, then you don't deserve to win.
Yeah. Jay Lewis is asking, do the Rangers go 7 D-man tomorrow? Maybe it'll help. Nope, they won't. Laviolette wants the 4 lines and the 6 defensemen.
I don't. Maroon is not beating you. Relax.
Yeah,
Maroon will play physical. He may get a key goal here or there, but it just, he's not beating you.
Let's go with this one first. Do you wonder if Steven Stamkos stays?
He wants to. Management wants to keep him. I think they find a lower, more team friendly deal, because he's gonna decline. It's coming, and Stamkos, when his career is all said and done, he is walking straight into the Hall of Fame. No doubt about that. He's going to score over 600 points. He's likely going to get his 600 goal either next season or the season after, and he's likely going to get his 1,200 career point and 600 assists next year. So I don't see him leaving. I still think he's a point per game player for at least 2-3 seasons, but I think he stays.
Is he the greatest Lightning player of all time?
He's going to go down as it until Nikita Kucherov breaks all those records.
You wouldn't weigh the early 2000s for St. Louis and LeCavalier the other way?
LeCavalier, by the time Stamkos really got going in his second year, LeCavalier was not the same player anymore. He was still a good player, but he wasn't. If you want to talk about St. Louis, okay, fine. But you could also turn around and be like, look at what St. Louis did with the Rangers. Like, even that year when he was traded to the Rangers, he was well over a point per game by the time he got traded to New York. Mm-hmm. And then his game fell off. Well, I can't say it did fall off a bit, because he only had 8 points in the 19 games. It was bad. But he had 61 points in 62 games with Tampa that year. The year before, he had 60 in 48 games. 11 with Stamkos. How much are we attributing that to Stamkos, and how much are we attributing that to St. Louis? That's really the question.
That's good.
But if Nikita Kucherov continues to do what he did this year, or anywhere close to it, and he still racks up 100-point seasons, Nikita Kucherov is going to go down as Mr. Lightning.
I was actually starting to play the music, but then it was garbling you out, Phil, so I decided to cut it. But yeah, all right, I'll agree with you on that one. And let's get back to what J.E.'s saying right here. Prediction time. Who steps up for the Rangers, or who has a big game?
I don't know if he will, but it needs to happen. Number 10, Artemi Panarin. It has to happen. This is your legacy here, man. Step up. I think Lafreniere is the guy that I really want to look at, just because I love the way he's played all series. But this has got to be Panarin's legacy time as a Ranger. This is where you beat the allegations of being soft and disappearing in the playoffs. You step up and you have yourself an absolutely just gigantic game. Just goal, 2 assists, whatever. I don't care. I need to see that from Panarin.
I'm actually going to go with the different line, and I'm going to go with the Kreider's advantage head line. I think Chris Kreider has to be who Chris Kreider always is for this team. He steps up, scores big goals. But more importantly, for him to do that, Mika Zibanejad's got to be on his game. And Mika Zibanejad, he's been okay in the series after game 1. Now it's time for him to really step up, get a goal, get going, and we'll see about how the rest of it works out afterwards. But yes, smooth. Everyone was
they were
visible
all
last game.
last game. All of them.
And yeah, as we're seeing Kreider right here.
Yeah, I you know what? When Kreider starts finishing his checks, you know he's engaged. You know he's in it. When he's doing his flybys and he's not hitting anybody, that's when you know that he doesn't have it. When he starts throwing his body around, that's when you know he's pissed and he wants it. And he needs to do that on a nightly basis.
But the key factor when it comes to him is, and the one thing I didn't put in my article I wrote about him last week, I think he's got the second most goals in NHL history facing elimination. He has to know that there's no margin for error. There's no tomorrow. This guy scored one of the biggest goals the biggest goal for the 2015 Rangers when he tied the game with 1:40 remaining.
Yep. Yeah,
in Game 5 versus the Capitals.
from the left face-off circle. Yep.
And it was on a little bit of a give and go with Stepan. But I mean, this is what this guy has done his entire career. And look, Vinny Trocheck has kind of also disappeared as well. By the way, guys, again, I say you hear me say this a lot. The other guys get paid too. So
the most, actually, he's tied with Messier.
Yeah, okay. He is tied with Messier. So the Rangers are going to have to figure that one out. And they could really use that Chris Kreider shift that he had for Game 6 of that Capital series, where he basically just took the puck, went down, made it 1-0, and then he made it 2-0 before the period could expire. If everybody remembers that one. So I would say there's your two. I'm curious if Filipino plays. I thought that line looked amazing.
Yeah.
In Game 3.
If he plays, I think that's a big boost. I really do think he's got to play. If he's available, he's got to play.
Yeah. Ranger Central saying that he saw Elliot Friedman and the Sharks considering Blashill.
Such an unserious organization. They really are not serious. I mean, yeah, I guess you want to continue to win. I'm guessing, or lose rather. I'm guessing that they must have just gotten tired of Quinn and Quinn's nonsense about not stick handling on 2-on-1s. So they must have fired him. So, let's get another bad coach that really can't really coach at all. And yeah, I guess. There you go. Oh, yeah. R.I.P. Celebrini. Yeah.
Well, we're going to see about that. Guys, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. I am heading out to dinner with a very lovely girl. And we're going to be celebrating 6 months. 6 months. I'm going to be a married man, Phil. So, yeah. I mean, we started this podcast. I couldn't get a date.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a married man. So
I can't keep them. So you at least kept one.
Yeah. Well, it helps when you find the right one. That's all you need to just got to find the right one. Oh, what?
Cheese ball moment.
No, I still got to take. Yeah, I'm still taking her out on dates even when we're married. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thanks, Pat. And Dave, thank you. By the way, I got your text today. Sorry, I was running around. We were setting up the Pen Yoda thing, and I was also playing a little bit too much Tetris. By the way, the Travis Green thing, I don't know if he's the right coach for that team, but you know what? That's what they're gonna have to do. Keep on going through it. And yeah. That's what you should do. Find a girl from Queens. Find a girl from Queens. She'll chirp you. So
yeah.
As she always says, get it together. Although Dominic did say this one right here. I would love it if Kako could step up.
Well, you know what? He has to do something. And I'll go back to what I said about not getting Gensel. Because if he doesn't step up and he doesn't do anything, and he doesn't turn into the player that the Rangers become, or the Rangers hope that he can become, then you look back at not trading for Jake Gensel, and you blew your chance to win a Stanley Cup. That's just...
Yeah.
Sorry, but there's a lot of pressure on this kid.
Well, by the way, Phil, we do give this advice, but right before we're going to sign off, we give this advice to the Rangers for tomorrow.
Rick and Morty.
Well, then get your shit together. Get it all together and put it in a backpack. All your shit. So it's together. And if you gotta take it somewhere, you know? Take it to the shit store and sell it. Or put it in a shit museum. I don't care what you do. You just gotta get it together. Get your shit together.
Yeah, how did I know that was coming?
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's how.
To be fair.
To be fair.
So,
Yeah, we had Pena on earlier, and I wanted to work that one back in. So, all right, guys. So, everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. It was a great show. Told you it was going to be a great show. We have 192. Are you watching right now? Most of us on X. So, guys, thank you very much on that. Wait, what was that? Igor's going to be Igor?
Yeah, the players in front of Igor have to show up. So yeah,
I think Igor's going to be locked in, and yeah, his numbers dipped a lot. And somebody said this to me in a comment. I don't blame him for any of the goals, but he still has to be better. Can't have an 879 save percentage and win the series. So that's for one thing, guys. Once again, have a great night, and we will talk to you hopefully tomorrow night for a bit. See you later.
Later.